Hello, Darren Alff here from BicycleTouringPro.com. Today I am in the beautiful city of Lviv, Ukraine in an Airbnb apartment that I've rented here in the center of the city for $28 per night. In this video, I'm going to be talking about renting Airbnb apartments all around the world and how you can save money when renting an Airbnb apartment like this one. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I have spent the last 20 years of my life traveling around the world on a bicycle. Check it out, the snow is coming down right now. Woo-wee! It's a wild day here in Sweden. And on some of my bicycle trips, on many of my bicycle trips in fact, I will stop cycling for a little while and I will rent an Airbnb apartment like this one in order to rest and relax and wash my clothes and see the city a little bit and do that sort of thing. So I have rented dozens and dozens and dozens of Airbnb apartments all around the world, in Africa, Asia, South America, North America, Europe, etc. So today I am going to share my 7 biggest tips for saving money when staying in an Airbnb apartment. Now, before I do that, let me share with you some of the apartments that I have been staying in recently. I'm in Lviv, Ukraine right now, and I have actually been here for about a month and a half. In that time, I have rented 3 different Airbnb apartments in 3 different parts of the city. And I wanted to do that simply because one of the things that I have learned from renting Airbnb apartments all around the world is the fact that where you live very much dictates how you feel and the experience that you have in life in general. If you live in a shitty apartment somewhere, you kind of feel shitty every single day that you wake up. If you live in a really nice apartment that has good lighting and big windows and all this kind of stuff, it makes you feel good. So I have lived in 3 different places in 3 different parts of the city to get 3 different experiences. And right now I will share with you the 3 different apartments that I have rented here in Lviv. So the first apartment that I rented was a 3rd-story walk-up. It was located on the top of this old antique sort of building here in the center of Lviv, Ukraine. This apartment cost me $23 per night. It was located kind of right outside, right near a tram stop, which there were some reviews saying that there was noise inside the apartment, but I did not experience that. As long as you kept the windows closed, there was no noise at all. So that was a nice apartment, 23 bucks a night. Then I moved to a more modern apartment, actually a penthouse apartment on the top floor of a almost brand new building, kind of on the outskirts of Lviv. This apartment cost me $26 per night. Had an incredible view looking out over the city, and once again, a very nice place to stay. Then now finally I am back in the center of Lviv in a really ideal location, just steps away from the center of the entire city. This apartment is huge, way bigger than I actually need. This place cost me $28 per night, and I really like it. This is probably my favorite apartment of the 3 that I rented in the entire city. All right, so now you have seen the 3 apartments that I've rented here in Lviv, Ukraine, and this should give you a general sense of the type of apartments that I am usually renting on Airbnb when I'm traveling the world. As I said before, I have been using Airbnb as a rental platform to rent apartments all around the world since 2012. So I have rented dozens and dozens and dozens of apartments all around the world, and I've learned a lot in that time. And that's why right now I'm going to share with you the 7 biggest things that I have learned for saving money when renting Airbnb apartments such as this. So tip number 1 is to travel to places during off-peak seasons. I'm here in Lviv, Ukraine, for example, in November, and I've been to this city before in December and January, when it's cold and dark and gray, and a lot of people don't want to be here. But But I like going to places during off-peak seasons because one, there's less people there, and two, the prices are a whole lot cheaper. And that's what happens on Airbnb. If you go to a place that's very popular during a popular peak season, you're gonna pay prime prices. But if you go there during a time when there's not a whole lot of people there, you can save a lot of money. And one of the places I've probably saved the most amount of money by going to during off-peak seasons is Croatia. I went to Croatia just a couple months or even like 1 month before the main like summer season. And I was able to rent an apartment there for $400, I think, for the entire month. And I ended up spending $600 for the entire month, and that included like lodging, entertainment, food, everything. So going to a place during off-peak seasons can save you a whole lot of money. The second thing you need to know when renting an Airbnb apartment is that the longer you stay, the more money you can save. If you stay for a week, there's usually a discount of like 5 to 10% or something off the normal nightly price of an Airbnb apartment. If you stay for a month, however, there can be huge discounts, up to 30, even 70% off the normal nightly price. And I have saved huge amounts of money over the years by renting apartments not just for a day, not just for a week, but for a month or longer. And Airbnb allows you to rent apartments up to a month and even beyond that. So I generally go to a place with the goal of staying there for about 1 to 2 months. That gives me enough time to see the place thoroughly. Also, I save a huge amount of money in the meantime. Sometimes I can stay in a place for 1 month for the same price that it would cost me to go there just for a week. My best example of getting a huge discount for monthly pricing occurred when I rented an apartment in the small city of Brașov, Romania. Beautiful city. This apartment that I rented was just a little studio apartment on the second floor of this like courtyard place right in the center of the city. And normally this tiny little studio apartment was renting for about $40 per night. So if I had paid the regular nightly price to stay there for a whole month, I would have been paying about $1,200. But because I ended up staying there for 2 months, I stayed for 2 months and I got a deep discount for staying so long, I was able to negotiate the price of this apartment down to just $350 per month. So I was staying there for, a little over $10 a night basically. And this is the sort of thing that you can do when you stay in a place for a longer period of time. The longer you stay in an Airbnb apartment, the more money you can save. Now, while we're talking about these deep discounts for monthly pricing, what you should know is that a lot of Airbnb apartment rental listings have this discount pricing built in. So if you just go to the calendar and you say that you want to stay in a place for a month, or if you want to stay in a place for a week, it'll automatically discount you a little bit because of how long you're staying. But a lot of these Airbnb listings do not have the weekly or monthly discounts built into their listings. They just haven't set it up that way for whatever reason. So one of the things that I have learned is that you should sometimes just contact apartments and ask them if they have a weekly or monthly discount, because it may not be built into the system. And I have found that sometimes, yes, I am able to negotiate a deeper discount simply by writing to other apartments that don't have that weekly or monthly discount built in and simply manually asking them for the discount. So that is a huge tip. One, you want to stay in a place as long as you possibly can, but two, don't rule out apartment listings on Airbnb just because the monthly or weekly discount isn't built in. If you find an apartment you like, write to them and ask for a discount. And that brings us to my third tip for saving money when you're renting an Airbnb apartment, and that is always ask for a discount. Always. I have asked for a discount every single time I've rented an Airbnb apartment anywhere in the world, and I have always received some kind of discount simply for asking. Now, sometimes this discount is huge, like the example that I gave just a moment ago about staying in Brașov, Romania for 2 whole months. I was able to negotiate the price that was already very low, even lower, simply by asking for a discount. But oftentimes the discounts aren't going to be that big. That being said, I have found that if you simply ask for a discount every single time you rent an Airbnb apartment, you will probably get one. And I usually get about 5 to 10% off the normal price simply by asking for that discount. Now, there have been times when I've been refused a discount, and oftentimes when that happens, I simply choose not to stay with that person. I am price shopping, I contact multiple people, I want to see what the best price is, and if they refuse to give me a discount of any kind, oftentimes I'll just say, okay, thank you so much, I'm going to go with someone else. So that is something I highly recommend you do. Always ask for a discount. Expect at least a 5% discount just by asking. That's kind of the standard of what I've received. Sometimes you can get up to 10, 15% off just by asking. And again, if you're staying for longer periods of time, you can negotiate even more off of the nightly price of your stay. Sometimes up to 30, 50, or even 70% off the normal nightly price. Now, my fourth tip for getting a good price on your nightly rentals with Airbnb is to build up a good reputation. I have been using Airbnb since 2012. I am a heavy user. I travel a lot, and I have rented dozens and dozens of apartments all around the world. And because of that, I now have a lot of reviews on Airbnb, a lot of positive reviews saying that I was a good renter, that I was quiet, that I left the place clean, all that sort of thing. The more positive reviews you have on your Airbnb account, the more likely it is that the people you rent from in the future are going to want to give you a discount when you stay with them. I have had many of my recent Airbnb rental apartment owners say to me recently that they have never had anyone stay with them that had so many reviews on their Airbnb account. When you go to rent an apartment on Airbnb, the person that you're contacting can look at your account and read the reviews to see if you're a good renter. And if they see anything in there like, oh, he left the place messy, or he broke something, or he invited a bunch of people over and he had a big party or something like that, they aren't going to want to rent to you. But if they can see that you are quiet and considerate and you leave the place clean and you paid on time and all that sort of stuff, then they are going to want to rent to you, and they're going to feel comfortable when you ask for a discount. So that is my fourth big tip, is to build up a positive reputation. Always leave the place clean, be considerate and kind to the people you are renting from, and the better your reputation, the more likely it is that you'll get a discount when renting Airbnb apartments for yourself. Now, my fifth tip for renting with Airbnb doesn't necessarily have anything to do with saving money, but it does have to do with finding an apartment that's going to be best for you. Now, one of the things that is very important to me when I am renting an Airbnb is the fact that the apartment have internet. I am a digital nomad. I travel around the world. I use my computer and my phone and the internet in order to make money while I'm traveling. And so having a good, fast, reliable internet connection is very, very important to me. And I have learned the hard way to make sure ahead of time that the internet at a particular apartment is going to be good enough, fast enough, and reliable enough for me to do my work. I rented an apartment in Montenegro. Montenegro is a tiny little country kind of sandwiched between Croatia, Albania, Macedonia, that kind of area in Europe. I rented an apartment there for a whole month, right on the beach, beautiful place, and the internet was terrible. Now, it had internet on the listing. I knew that it had internet, and that was very important to me. What I didn't do ahead of time, however, was ask them about the status of that internet. Because what I learned once I got there was they were using a SIM card, like a prepaid SIM card, in order to get internet in the apartment. And this prepaid SIM card only had a limited amount of internet that you could use. So it was fast enough, but after about one day, I had used up the entire 250 megabytes or whatever the limit was on that little SIM card, and the internet went out. So after one day, in this apartment that I'm supposed to be renting for a month, I've burned out the internet. So I go to the apartment owner and I say like, look, the internet's not working, what's the deal? And he comes over and he like has to call the company and be like, we need another 250 megabytes of internet or whatever. And then so like, I'm like, okay, cool, it's working again, blah, blah, blah. And like a day later, not even a day later, I'm out of internet again. You know, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? This is not working. But the owner didn't really tell me that like, he was just buying like the bare minimum of internet in order to save money. So I had no idea this was going on for like days and days, and the internet just kept cutting out, and he would call up and buy a little bit more internet, and then I would be able to work. And then finally he told me like, I'm just paying for like, you know, 250 megabytes at a time, and that's why this keeps happening. And I'm like, dude, I gotta work. Like, my work involves like uploading and downloading videos and all this kind of stuff. I can't do that with 250 megabytes. That's nothing. So it was just a terrible, terrible month for me because I wasn't able to be as productive as I wanted to. So the two things that I have learned when it comes to internet, if internet is important to you when you rent your Airbnb apartments, number one, make sure that the internet in the apartment is unlimited. Always ask about this. You know, make sure that the internet is not limited in some way to like 500 megabytes or a gigabyte or 3 gigabytes or something like that. I have rented apartments in the past where they've said like, yeah, we have a 3 gigabyte limit. And for me, that's not enough. So always ask, is your internet unlimited? Secondly, if you can, get the owners of the apartment to run a speed test. If you don't know what a speed test is, it's basically just a test that you run online through your computer or your phone in order to find out how fast your internet is. So what you want to do is you want to have the owner of the Airbnb run a speed test. They're going to go to speedtest.net or some other similar website. They're going to run this test, and it's going to tell them how fast their internet is in their own apartment. Once they have run that test, they need to send you the results. And they're going to tell you like the internet is 10 megabytes per second download and 3 megabytes per second upload, something like that. I have found that as a bare minimum, you want at least a 5 megabytes per second download speed and at least a 1 megabyte per second upload speed. Now that is like the bare minimum, but I'm oftentimes looking for far better than that. There are certain countries in the world where that's about as good as you're ever going to get. And there are other countries in the world like Romania or Finland or, I don't know, parts of Asia, etc., where you can get way, way faster internet, like way faster than you would ever find in the United States or in other major developed countries. So always ask for unlimited internet and a speed test so that you can verify that the internet in the apartment is going to be fast enough for your needs. Now, my sixth big tip for saving money when you're renting Airbnb apartments is to make friends and build relationships with the people that you are renting from. I have stayed in multiple cities around the world multiple times, and one of my favorite places to go is the city of Poznan, Poland. I like the city because it's inexpensive, it's really beautiful, I have a lot of friends there that I've kind of slowly built up over time. It's a bikeable city, and there's a lot of things I like about going there. So I go there quite often, and because I've been there so many times, I've built a relationship with several of the people that I have rented Airbnb apartments from over the years. And because I've built up these relationships, and because these people know me, and the fact that I usually stay for a long period of time, and that I'm a good renter, that I'm not causing any trouble, etc., they will oftentimes give me huge discounts when I return and rent from them again. Some of these people will oftentimes message me out of the blue and say like, hey Darren, where are you? Are you planning to be in Poznan anytime soon? Because we've got some availability and I could give you a super deal. These are the sorts of relationships that you want to build, and these are the sorts of relationships that I aim to build myself when I'm renting with Airbnb apartment owners all around the world. So that is a huge tip for you, especially if you think that you might be going back to a particular area over and over and over again, is to build a relationship with the people you're renting from, because oftentimes you can negotiate huge discounts with those people if you stay with them 2 times, 3 times, 4 times or more. Finally, my last tip for saving money and getting super deals on Airbnb apartment rentals all around the world is to share your Airbnb referral code. Airbnb provides you with a referral code within the platform that you can then send to all of your friends, family members, coworkers, etc., in order to get them to sign up for Airbnb. If those people then sign up for Airbnb using your referral code, those people will then receive a significant discount off of their first rental on the Airbnb platform. You will also receive a small kickback from Airbnb. You will receive Airbnb credits, which is basically like free Airbnb money that you can then use on the platform to rent other Airbnb apartments or houses, etc., for yourself in the future. Now, I have been on Airbnb since 2012, and I have constantly been sharing my Airbnb referral code with everybody that I can basically meet, including my readers on bicycletouringpro.com. And over the years, I have built up thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Airbnb referral credits. And I have used those Airbnb referral credits to stay in free or nearly free apartments all around the world. Sometimes I have stayed for months without paying a single cent simply because I have built up so many Airbnb credits over the years. And a good example of that occurred right here in Lviv, Ukraine, with the first apartment that I rented here in the city. This apartment cost me $23 a night. I think the total cost for the entire time that I stayed there was about $640. Now, I had saved up about almost $500 in Airbnb credits before I rented that apartment. So $650, $500 worth of Airbnb credits. I was able to stay for a whole month in that apartment for really only $150 out of hand. I only had to pay $150 cash for that 1 month apartment in Lviv, Ukraine. That is the power of the Airbnb referral credit, and that is why I encourage you to constantly and continuously be sharing your Airbnb referral credit. And this is the part of the video where I say, if you have not yet signed up for Airbnb, use the referral code below. I will link to it in the video description to sign up for Airbnb right now. If you sign up for Airbnb with this referral link, you will get a significant discount off of your first rental on the Airbnb platform. If you sign up using that referral link, I will also receive a small kickback from Airbnb in the form of Airbnb credits, which I can then use to rent an apartment or a condo or a house or something like that on the Airbnb platform in the future. So if you are new to Airbnb, you have not yet signed up for the platform, use the link in the video description down below to sign up for Airbnb right now. All right, guys, that's it. I am Darren Alff from bicycletouringpro.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. These have been my 7 tips for saving significant amounts of money on the Airbnb platform. Once again, if you have not yet signed up for Airbnb, use the referral code below to sign up right now and save a significant amount of money off of your first rental. Wait, don't go yet. I have one more tip that I want to give you when it comes to renting an apartment on Airbnb, and that is always read the reviews before you rent a place. You can learn a huge amount by simply taking the time to read the reviews from other people who have rented an apartment or a house before you actually go to rent that same property for yourself. For example, my first apartment here in Lviv, Ukraine, when I was reading through the reviews, several people mentioned that the apartment was located just outside of a tram stop. And because of that, there was quite a bit of street noise. Now, I read through the reviews and I was like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't rent this place. Maybe it's going to be too distracting. I won't be able to get my work done. But I ended up going for it anyways. And I'm glad I did, because once I got to that apartment, I realized that as long as the windows were closed, there was no street noise whatsoever. But if you open the windows, yes, you could hear the cars and the trucks and the people and the trams and all that sort of thing. And I was able to kind of figure out that for myself, because in the reviews, some people said, yes, there is street noise, but if you close the windows, you really can't hear it. So reading those reviews is very, very important. And it's something that I highly encourage you to do before you rent any Airbnb property anywhere in the world. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Darren Alff from bicycletouringpro.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you out on the road sometime soon. Bye-bye.